We farm the major three commodities: soybean, wheat, and corn. We don't have a public grain elevator. So the only place for us to sell our grain now is either to Smithfield or to Purdue. There is very little market for small scale family farmers, especially minority farmers, due to these consolidations. They basically, dictate when we can harvest and when we can sell and what the price is. If we have Cargill, which is this mega company already, and Continental Grain acquire Samson, it just further consolidates and makes it challenging for our farmers, our growers and producers to be able to get a fair price. These companies already have a history of price fixing. These are not good actors. And so they pretty much set the price, and they work with each other to keep it where they're still profitable and the farmers are indebted to them. We want to have a free and fair market. That's what the United States is about. And that's what farmers are about.
Well, the area was a lot different whenever I was growing up. We had neighbors close to us, and everybody knew one another. It thrived. The community thrived, with the uncertainty and often on the farm, especially in the last 7 to 8 years where we're out here and we're not guaranteed of covering the cost of production. So a lot of farmers either went broke or decided to quit. I've seen the number of farms diminish greatly. We've had the big farmers getting bigger. The big, they don't rely on the local businesses to keep their operation going. It takes away from county revenue. And so our schools are consolidating. We had a grocery store in Golden City that disappeared. We had lots of things for kids to do. There was movie theater, that's gone. Used to, if you was driving down the road and you saw a neighbor having problems with changing a tire or something like that, you automatically stopped in and helped them out. As it changed, why most of the people just drive by as fast as they can go by.
Now these are just mega CAFOs, 10 to 20 houses, 600 to 650 foot long barns. You're talking bigger than football fields, right up against a neighbor's home. Here in Delaware, we are number one in the entire country with 97% of our rivers and our streams polluted. We have communities now that are facing massive well contamination. And with that, health impacts, birth defects, miscarriage after miscarriage, animals having seizures. Because there is so much power consolidated, it is almost impossible to get any type of meaningful legislation enforcement because the scales are tilted. It's just too much power.
The particular hog CAFO that I visited was located in Sampson County, North Carolina. One of them would say, okay, salta, súbete, jump. They would all jump up on the rails, the pens. From the bottom of the pens, this liquid would come up. It was a pink, slimy kind of a liquid right up on top of the workers, splashing. That was the chemical that they used to clean the pens. And I remember talking to them like, what is this stuff? Nobody knew. And then that liquid would go out into the lagoon. Their housing was just right up the hill from the lagoon. They're drinking water, they're bathing themselves. Almost every one of them, if not all of them, had stomach problems. I would ask them, do you have concerns? And folks would say, yes, but what can I do? And the only other options there in that area was another CAFO down the road. As a farmer, you don't have too much choice. The corporation has certain requirements. If you don't do them, you don't have the contract. Whatever happens to you, the farmer, and whatever happens to you, the worker, that's not their problem. They just want their money. That's it. The folks that are making money from these operations, they're not in those communities. They're not living where there's, where you can't go outside because of the smell in the air and the amount of flies. The only people that are left there are the ones that can't leave. And those are the disposable people. And that's going to be the poor, people of color, and the workers.
There's a huge frozen pizza business here in Wisconsin. And so we hear from cheese processors, okay, the pizza factory is expanding. It needs to get bigger to be able to sell to the increasingly consolidated retail sector. So they need more cheese. And so they're going to expand the cheese factory to match the pizza factory's scale. Then the company that handles our milk wants to look for bigger farms because it's efficient for them to try to get that milk from fewer places. Our suppliers, they react to these larger farms and larger firms by coming to us and saying, hey, I had to give a volume discount on your bull semen for artificial insemination to the big farm because I was going to lose their business, but now I need to make up that cost. And so I'm going to raise the price to you, and you're smaller, so you're not really going to be able to push back. So this creates this cascading effect. The latest statistics show that in Wisconsin, just since January 2022, we've lost 127 dairy farms. They've gone out of business. So that's almost one a day.
The corporate consolidation that has happened within organic dairy in the last 10 years has resulted in a lack of competition. The two largest buyers in the country are creating a price structure that is driving small to mid-sized organic dairy farms out of business. In the last year, Danone International unilaterally cancelled the contracts on 89 organic dairy farm families in the Northeast. You look in the countryside, and where there was a collection of different lights from farms, at 4 in the morning, you could see the barns light up. Now you don't see that. If we are to succeed in the future, then we need to sustain the small to mid-sized operations that truly reflect organic production and provide the consumer with a product that they can trust.
Product of the USA label. You'll go in the grocery store and see that on almost everything. To get that label, all you need to do is do something to that piece of meat in this country. You can just take the packaging off, cut it up, or grind it and label it product of the United States. People can't distinguish our American product from that imported product. Research has shown that people would preferentially buy American beef, grass-fed beef, but they can't identify it. We're losing out on a huge section of that retail dollar that would make ranchers profitable. Being able to get a fair price for our product is so key to the survival of farming and ranching in this country.
Farmers don't have the right to repair their equipment because they can't get access to all of these software and tools they need to fix their modern tractors. It means they're tied to the dealership for many repairs, which leads to long repair delays that can put crops at risk, not to mention high repair costs that cut into already razor-thin margins. Consolidation is making the problems of repair restrictions worse. John Deere, who's the largest manufacturer of large equipment in the United States, is the worst at this. And that means that there's one John Deere dealership for every 5.3 million acres of American farmland, or every 12,018 American farms. For Iowa farmer Ken Helt, that meant that he had to go all the way to Nebraska in order to diagnose a problem with his Deere tractor's transmission. And because he didn't trust his local dealership, he had to drive all the way to Missouri to get it fixed. If we pass right to repair and we're able to cut through this dealership consolidation, that first of all means that farmers will be able to get faster service, that they'll be able to fix their own tractors, that they'll be able to save money on repair. It also means that the local jobs that repair provides can come back to Main Street, and that farmers can have multiple different businesses to choose from.
Well, you're dead in the water if you can't pay for the seed. But then that's not the only thing you got to pay for that is very expensive. Your fertilizers, your drip lines, your plastic, your pipe, all of that has increased. and it almost has priced them out. It is very difficult for a small farmer to compete with the mega, I call it the mega farms. You can't do it. And most of the time when you go in and you buying produce from these large corporations, you're really not buying fresh. It's been there for a while. They do not have a cap on what they want to sell their produce for. To sell at a farmer's market, you have to follow the state guidelines. You cannot price gouge. It's what they call it. What they really want us to do is to do all of this work, harvest, clean, prepare our produce and sell it for less than what you can go in the grocery stores and buy. See, that's what happens with us as small farmers. We go out there and we put ourselves in debt, trusting that we will be able to grow more this year, harvest more, sell more, get a better price this year. And when that don't happen, we end up head over heel in debt and we lose everything we ever tried to own.
The ranch has changed a lot. When I was a kid, we had chickens, sheep, hogs, and cattle. And as the profits went away in those industries, I guess we're left with the cattle. Since 1980, we've lost about 70% of independent feedlots that used to bid for my cattle. You know, it used to be if you could get one load of cattle together, a whole semi-load, that's what buyers like to buy. But now with the concentration and the bigger feedlots, you know, it might take maybe 4 loads is that sweet spot. I'm the 4th generation here, and for 3.5 generations, you know, agriculture's never been easy. Droughts, floods, blizzards, they fought that and they managed to survive because they had a market. But if we don't get this concentration under control, the result is going to be less choices for consumers, less quality. There's going to be fleeting availability and higher prices. There's a lot of work ethic and a lot of entrepreneurship out here in rural America. And if we can make a living wage, we'll keep America fed.